All right, guys, so I've been worried that I've been struggling with an early extension, and if this swing looks anything like yours, you know how difficult it is to try to make swing changes, and all that can lead to some real inconsistencies, and we want to fix that. Well, the good news is it doesn't have to be that hard. In fact, the fix is easier than you think, and I'm going to show you how right now. All right, so how are we going to fix it? Well, we got top 100 instructor and director of instruction at Sleepy Hollow, a club we've been fortunate enough to play. Yeah. Kevin Sprecher with us. Kevin, you gotta fix me.
That's easy.
Okay.
You're easy. You have the same problems. Early extension is typically misdiagnosed, especially by amateurs, because they think because they're moving towards the ball, it's wrong.
Okay.
But, and sometimes it's not that they're moving towards the ball, it's that actually they're going up, because some players need to go vertical to get their body to rotate. Now there is early extension. If you come down and you start going like this, really, sure. But sometimes it could be something as simple as just something wrong with your setup. So it makes it appear like you're early extending. And you're just set up incorrectly.
Gotcha. So, all right, how do we go about diagnosing? What's the first thing you'd like to do?
So first is, let's just go ahead and get you to set up.
So I'll usually set the face square and then just step out a bit and then just grip it there. Okay. So this is my current setup.
Right. So the first thing that I saw, and this is actually a little bit better than a few minutes ago, is your stance gets too wide. So what happens when your stance gets too wide? What can't you do?
Well,
can't turn.
Right, and I always think wider is more powerful, but
to a point. You can get too narrow and lose speed, right? Because if you get narrow, it's hard to shift.
Yeah.
And it's hard to use the ground to generate torque. So in the swing, torque is your main power producer. It's about 85% of your power. But if I get too wide, I can't turn. So then I start just to swing my arms. When you swing your arms, your weight goes towards your toes and you start going like this. There's your early extension. So in your case, I think, and I already know you have a bad lower back or tight.
Yeah.
So if you get too wide, it's harder for you to move. So I'm going to narrow your stance up a little bit.
Okay.
Go a little narrow.
It feels awkward at first.
It's going to feel awkward. And
even my toes want to move out.
And the best thing to do is to see it. So if I took a picture of you here, go ahead and do that.
Okay. So this, you like me right about here?
Right there. That would be perfect. So if I took this picture and I showed you your picture, would you say that golfer is too narrow?
No, that looks right.
Right? That looks good. So if you saw that picture of Mike, would you say he's too narrow? You're like, no, that looks normal.
Right.
You feel like that's awkward.
Right.
Almost like I tied your shoes together.
Yes.
Right. So the next question is, well, how do I get into that position more consistently?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to have you go through your routine, but start with your feet close together.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put the club down.
Let's say the ball was there. You want me to start like this?
Start like that.
Okay.
Okay. Now we know from there, you're just going to take 2 little steps left and right to get your stance width. Done. Now put your hands on and get. So now you're in a stance width that I feel like, I'm going to say that's about 15 or 16 inches from the middle of your feet. That's about where I want you for a 7-iron.
Gotcha.
Okay, now do a couple of practice swings there and see how it feels with your ability to turn.
Yeah, I can turn. Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing now is when you're swinging through, you're finishing on your left heel versus your left toe. When you were swinging before, you're too wide, you can't turn. The weight of the club pulls you forward. You go on your toes, and then you're kind of fighting, and that's why you're mishitting it. Now I got you narrower, your body's able to turn through and finish towards your left heel.
Makes so much sense. And we recently did that review of the salted insoles, and when we look back at that, I was ending on my toes.
Yeah. Sometimes just thinking about how do I get into my left heel is better than thinking about not trying to early extend. I think it's hard to try not to do something in your swing. Right? Try not to come over the top, trying not to early extend. Let's try to do something. So for you, it's let's try to rotate a little bit better, but we made it easier by getting you to put your feet closer together. One other thing I want you to do is in your setup position, I want you to take your feet and just go like this. Did you have to rock back to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're probably on your toes too much at address too.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to be balanced, fairly balanced left to right, if anything a little more on your left side, and you want to be balanced toe to heel, if anything more towards the balls of your feet, but not so much where you can't pick your toes up. You should be able to, I like to have all my players do this, because I know that they're not going to be on their toes too much. When you're on your toes, you can't turn.
Makes sense. Okay. So that's that little reminder to not be too much on my toes.
A little closer together. You're creeping wide.
Yeah. Just you settle back into like the old rhythm.
Settle in there.
Okay.
Plus, I like now. So to build into your routine, because you don't want to think about this too much. So when you're setting up, you kind of set up. You get your feet set. Look at the target. Move your feet around a little bit. Keeps a little bit of motion. Then you kind of get set and swing. Gotcha. That way, you kind of build it into your routine now, so you don't have to think about it all the time.
Gotcha. So the routine can be something as simple as feet together, the small step out,
There.
and then just kind of doing this. to
Move
make
your
sure-
feet, look at the target, make
Yep.
sure you don't, yeah. And then go ahead and do a swing. Perfect. That's better. See where the balance is?
Yeah.
So better balance. Better
Felt more
contact.
balanced. I felt more on balance at the end of the swing.
Yeah, it was good.
So, yeah, see, there's your example. I'm worrying about not early extending, and what Kevin is showing is instead focusing on getting in a proper setup where that I can rotate without having to do something like that.
So in one swing, your club path went from 4 degrees out to in to 1.5 degrees out to in. Your face was less closed. You hit it more centered on the club. So using the quad gives us all that data. And so in one swing, we're able to change a lot of those different things. So now as you keep doing it, everything will start to get kind of normalize. And then to really dial it in, then we just adjust your alignment. Look, if you say I want to hit more of a draw, well then I'll have you aim more to the right. If you want to play more of a fade, we'll have you aim more to the left. And that was the last shot there.
Because the swing happens so quick. It's remarkably easier to do all of my thinking here in the setup than as I was thinking was this. Squat, stay back, pull this left hip back. And I'm trying to think of those things while I swing.
Yeah.
And I was going nowhere.
You can't walk and shoot gun. You got no chance of doing that
No.
in your golf swing.
I'm gonna do that. Then I'm gonna kind of rock, feel that weight back a little.
Perfect. There. Look at your balance.
Yeah.
See how much different your finish feels?
Feels a lot more back.
And your finish is kind of like everyone, so especially when they practice, they hit a ball, they see the ball, and all of a sudden they grab another one. Hold your finish. Your finish will tell you a lot what just happened. There was a lot of feedback that just happened in a second and a half of in your golf swing. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So after you hit your shot, hold there. Okay, am I in balance? Yes. Did I feel like I did whatever I'm trying to do? Yes. Don't be in such a rush to grab another ball.
All right, Frank. Let's see a good one here.
Okay, rock. Feel that weight.
Oh, yeah.
That's really good.
That's really good, huh?
So you were going down a rabbit hole of doing something with your swing. You thought there was something wrong with your swing, doing this, that, where it was really your setup was off, which affected your swing. And so what people need to understand is, I always look for this, the most simple baseline thing. Is it ball position, setup, something in your setup, stance with whatever, because that'll affect everything. Your golf swing doesn't change from day to day. We all know it's hard to change our golf swing. Takes time. It's like building muscle. It takes time for it to change. But if your setup is incorrect, your swing will change almost immediately. And then if it stays incorrect, your swing will actually progressively get worse. One of my first coaches that I worked with was Dave Collins. He said he's never seen a good swing from a bad setup. He's seen bad swings from good setups, but never a good swing from a bad setup.
All right, so guys, there you go. If you are struggling with that, if you think that early extension is something that might be your problem, first start with your setup. Give your setup a checkup, just like Kevin said. And Kevin, if anybody's in the area and they want to work with you directly, how do they do so?
Best way to find me is, my social is Kevin Sprecher Golf, or go to my website, Kevin Sprecher. They can find me out there, reach out, send me a note, and I'm around all winter.
And hopefully Kevin will fix you as quick as he fixed me. Now, I got to go practice. Thanks, guys.